Foxcatcher is a film that kind of passed me by at the cinema. I never got the opportunity to see it, so picked up the Blu-ray, or should I say my partner very kindly bought me the Blu-ray when it was released earlier this month. It's a film that follows, it's actually based on a true story. It follows two professional wrestlers, Olympic wrestlers, not, you know, the WWE stuff. It stars Channing Tatum as Mark Schultz and Mark Ruffalo as his brother Dave, who are sort of borderline washed up Olympic wrestlers. You know, they once won Olympic gold and they're like working in a gym and training younger wrestlers. They are approached by an eccentric millionaire called John DuPont, played by Steve Carell, who wants to own and coach the next Olympic wrestling team for the USA. It's very apparent from Steve Carell's sort of introduction that John DuPont may be a little bit odd, shall we say. And the film definitely has a tone throughout that leads you to believe that not is all as it seems. Now, what I will say about this, it's a film that, despite it being based on a true story, I think you should go in cold if you can. If you don't know the ins and outs of the story, if you don't know what happens to the people involved, don't read up on it before you see the film. I had actually managed to avoid spoilers for this up until a couple of weeks before I saw it. And a YouTuber that I watch, who I really respect and like, was talking about films in general that have come out this year and then mentioned the ending of Foxcatcher in passing, and I didn't have a chance to, like, you know, fast forward or anything, so I actually heard the end, and you know, it would have been better if I could have gone in not knowing what happened. So I will say that, you know, if you don't know what happens, don't read up on it, don't go on Wikipedia, watch the film cold, because the director, Bennett Miller, now this is the guy who did Moneyball and Capote, neither of which I've seen actually, he builds a sense of tension and especially dread all the way through the film, and you know, that will be a lot more effective if you don't know how it ends. But anyway, so you have Channing Tatum is very much the main character as Mark Schultz, who feels like he's living in his older brother Dave's shadow. You know, Dave is the one that people refer to as, like, you know, the Olympic wrestler, the borderline legend, and Mark really wants to do his own thing, and it's Mark that John DuPont approaches for the job of basically assembling a wrestling team for the US, to represent the US in the Olympics. Channing Tatum plays it really well, actually. This is probably the most challenging role I've seen him in. You know, I've seen him in quite a few different roles now, a lot of comedy, some action, and you know, a couple of dramatic roles. This is definitely the most challenging. I actually thought he was really good in this. You know, he plays it sort of very down to earth and very restrained in a way, so that when the character does occasionally lose the shit, you feel it a lot more. You've then got Mark Ruffalo, the ever-reliable Mark Ruffalo, as his older brother Dave, who is probably the most likeable character in the film, because, to be quite honest, not a lot of people involved in this film are very likeable. Mark Ruffalo just brings his sense of the common man kind of thing, you know, to the role, and keeps it very grounded. Steve Carell is the actor who got, you know, all the awards buzz. I believe he was nominated for supporting actor for this as John DuPont. And if you can see past the makeup, he gives a really good performance. And I do think I agree with that what the makers of the movie said was that if they hadn't put the fake nose on him and you know, the hair and the teeth, you would have just seen Steve Carell. So it helps that he's under this almost disguise. He's not unrecognisable, but there is enough there that you sort of lose yourself in the character. And he plays John DuPont so well, because there are so many layers to this character. You know, there's the character that he projects to the outside world, and then there's the layers of darkness that start to peel away throughout the movie. And he, again, plays it quite restrained in a way, but has enough talent so that even the small gestures and the small looks, the small responses on his face give way to a much darker element of his character. I thought Steve Carell was great in this, and even though it doesn't delve sort of too much into his character's motivations, enough is hinted at either through the performance or through some exposition in the movie. You get an idea of where this character's coming from, and while I'm not saying it makes him sympathetic, it does its best to kind of try and make him relatable in a way. And I just thought it was a really powerful performance and very well written as well. It was pretty great. I thought Steve Carell definitely deserved all the accolades and attention that he got, all the praise that he got following the film. He was really good in it, and Steve Carell, it just goes to show that he is a great dramatic actor. You know, I've thought this since I saw him in Little Miss Sunshine. He's fantastic, and I really hope he gets more roles like this. As I've mentioned earlier, the film builds a sense of dread throughout. It's not an easy watch, you know, that I will say that. It's not going to be for everyone. It's quite, you feel somewhat beaten by the end of it. Just not necessarily because of the subject matter or what happens, but the tone of the movie is quite heavy. And I love that, you know, that's the sort of drama / thriller that I really like, but I'm aware it's not for everyone. But I found it to be a very rewarding watch and a terrific film that, had I seen it earlier prior to doing my last couple of videos, might have crept onto my top 10 of last year, because that's when it was released in the cinema. But as it stands, Foxcatcher, I'm glad I saw it. I would really recommend it for fans of drama, or if you're just looking for a good story well told about subject matter you're not necessarily interested in. I'm not interested in Olympic wrestling, but found this film to be very interesting with very great performances, and I look forward to seeing what everyone involved does next. So yeah, Foxcatcher, definitely recommended.